I know once I look at my phone, it'll speed up. So.
We're live.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to NPU Live. I'm Keri Rodriguez.
And I'm Tim Langan.
Today is May 22nd, 2020, and it is Friday, the Friday of Memorial Day weekend. It is a long weekend. I don't think I have looked forward to a long weekend more in my entire life.
I'm very
really
excited
about it.
I'm very excited.
It is beautiful outside, and we are going to be enjoying the weather and, socially distancing ourselves.
That's right, of course.
Just, I don't know what it is. I'm really excited about this weekend.
It's it's been a busy week. A lot of birthdays going on, a lot of stuff. I think we need some downtime. I think we've earned it.
We do. So exciting morning this morning. Glad to be with you as we are every morning here on the National Parents Union live broadcast. Lots of exciting guests today. I'm really excited about Kwame and Natasha so that we can introduce you to both of them. But before we do, we're going to check in with Tim, figure out what's happening in the world, and move on. There you
go. Well, again, in COVID news, right now, the cases in the U.S. jumped to 1.6 million. 1.61 million to be exact, with 95,087 deaths, unfortunately. And just to show you how some of our more vulnerable populations are affected, the Navajo Nation is actually implementing a 57-hour lockdown over the weekend. This actually isn't that uncommon. They've actually been doing this every weekend.
Wow.
For the last couple of months, so that people don't leave their homes on the weekend and congregate.
So just a complete lockdown of their homes, not just the reservations themselves?
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow.
And just to give you an idea of the impact upon the Navajo Nation, the last census had the Navajo Nation population around 110,000. Mm-hmm. They have over 4,400 cases and 147 deaths. Oh, that is a significant impact to them.
And when you take a look at the Johns Hopkins map, and that is really the most trustworthy source of tracking the coronavirus in the United States. It's what a lot of states are looking at in terms of getting their data and information. A lot of states reporting directly to Johns Hopkins, where they're putting out a heat map. When you take a look at that map, it's very interesting because in some of the less populated states where you see these red flare-ups, those are the reservations.
Yes.
It's been really sad to see those flare-ups there, but it's good to see them taking action, and hopefully this helps to quell the rise of coronavirus in those vulnerable populations. That's right.
But I think it just as we start to open up different states, so actually all states very soon will be open. How important it is to still practice social distancing, not take this pandemic for granted. And I think, like you said, most parents are not. Mm-hmm. They're still concerned, I think, as the summer comes. And they're actually more concerned because those resources of online learning are falling away.
That's true. So this week, the National Parents Union going to be asking some questions. We're doing a weekly survey, weekly tracking, asking families across America what they think, what they need, and how they're thinking about the future and reopening. So this week, we're going to be asking families across the country about how they're feeling about schools closing. And that means like the stopping of curriculum being offered from districts, because most schools are still physically closed, but right. You are getting support from school districts. So I know this is really confusing, but come June 1st in some areas, some June 15th in other areas, we are seeing that, the schools are deciding that, they're just going to stop, that support. Maybe you'll have a little bit here and there, but you're not going to have that consistent communication, the providing a curriculum, the same way that you would during what is now our new normal of a school year. So we want to test with parents. We want to ask you the question, are you going to be sending your kid to virtual summer camp? Are summer camps open in your area? How are you thinking about that? And what do you need? At this point, there are some folks trying to put together some resources to provide for parents because, frankly, just because school is over for the year, our kids are still home, and with a concern around learning loss, especially this year, because our kids are already somewhat behind in certain academic areas as the result of coronavirus. What can we be doing, and what resources do you need? So we're asking those questions this week. We'll have some results next week that we can talk to you about. So I'm really interested to learn how folks are thinking about it. But our previous survey, we are getting actually a lot of feedback, a lot of people talking about our Bill of Rights, not just in the news, but also people blogging about it. And today there was a blog on Scary Mommy, which if you're a mommy in the United States, you're probably familiar with Scary Mommy.
Even I know Scary Mommy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great place. A lot of moms, writing blogs, talking about how they feel. A lot of funny content too. I love Scary Mommy for the real talk, and tough conversations. But interesting blog this morning, a mom from Vermont who is living in kind of a rural area, talking about that she's going to send her kids back to school. Maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
It's an interesting headline because it kind of hooks you in saying, I'm sending my kids back to school in September. That's it. But as you dig into it, it's with all of these qualifications. Right. Well, maybe if they can do this. And, I don't know. A lot of the comments to me were more interesting.
What were those like, Keri?
To her blog. Very indicative of what we saw in the National Parents Union survey. Folks saying, well, that's very nice with you, nice white lady who's a consultant and can kind of roll the dice in Vermont.
Well, that's the thing. I think, can you give us some background on what her job situation is? Because her situation might be different from someone who has to work part-time or even full-time at Target.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a bit of privilege here, because you've got to say, okay, well, if this woman is ready to send her kid back to school, like, what's her lens? Like, how does she see this? And she is she's a freelance consultant. She's living in an area that is not heavily populated. Her community has not been, heavily impacted by COVID-19. She has some confidence in her school in terms of, some of the social distancing practices. They were using hula hoops to keep kids away from each other. But, a lot of parents reacting to her blog are saying, this is evolving. Yeah. We have learned more about this virus, and we're not ready. And we don't think our schools are ready. Yeah. But it's also been kind of interesting. Tim, I don't know your reaction here, but.
I'm processing this. First of all, I have no problem staying away from someone with a hula hoop. That's a given. I will tell you that it's a very privileged situation, a very different geographic area than where we live in, and most of, I think, our families live in. I did actually have the privilege of going to a high school graduation once in Vermont, about 8 years ago, for a graduating class of 15 kids. So I think that gives you an idea of the level of population density we're dealing with in Vermont.
And my own personal experience with Vermont, not too far away from here, actually, a portion of it touching Massachusetts, but I actually ran a statewide healthcare workers campaign in Vermont about 10 years ago, organizing home care workers across Vermont. So literally, I was up there 5 days a week when my baby was first born, and I would spend the entire week, organizing, going door to door, sending out, dispatching teams of other home care workers to organize a labor union into 1199 SEIU. And the thing that sticks out to me about Vermont, I remember, working for 1199, it's a union of people of color and, based in New York City. So, we brought home care workers from New York City up to organize in Vermont. And actually, it was my birthday. I'll never forget this birthday. I spent most of the day on the phone with the state police and putting out a press release to the Vermont media because people were afraid of Black and brown folks going to their door and asking them if they would like to join a union because they had never really seen Black and brown folks in their area before, and they were terrified. So folks were coming out with shotguns onto their porch. And so we had to put out a media advisory saying, please don't injure the home care workers, just coming to talk to you about whether or not you'd like to join a labor union. So that's kind of tainted my view of Vermont and their experience, but a lot of Whew. But so all of that to say, I think that there is a particular lens of privilege
Yep.
that comes. Not to say that everybody in Vermont is wealthy and living, the high life. There's an incredible, extraordinary poverty in Vermont in
Yes.
some areas. But the lens again,
Right.
just taking that on. But a lot of folks, it's sparking a lot of conversation. Is it sparking conversation with you and your friends? We want to hear from you. We've issued our Bill of Rights. We said this is our terms. We have polled parents every week for several weeks, folks saying they're not ready because they want to hear from federal, state, and local health officials, public health officials, telling us when it's safe and having some assurances that
Scientists.
we are following the guidelines of scientists.
I love scientists.
Of all people. So we'd like to hear from you. What are folks saying about the Bill of Rights? What do you think about it yourself? We want to hear it in the comments, so hit us up. You can do it right here on our Facebook page, on this Facebook Live.
That's right. And if you have any tips, feedback, ideas for guests or topics, send those to info@npunion.org. That's info@npunion.org. It's going to be a busy weekend for us. We're going to have a lot of things to get done.
Really?
We'll have some stuff to do.
What's on the list?
It's a surprise. It's a surprise.
I want to hear the melon list.
But tune in every day. I don't even know what that means. But tune in every day.
The honeydew list. It's the melon list. You don't know what the honeydew list is?
I don't know what the honeydew list is. I do love honeydew though. But tune in every day to the National Parents Union Facebook broadcasts. Monday, we will be taking the day off in honor of Memorial Day. We'll be playing some replays. Dan and Natasha and Sasha. Just wanna schedule those puppies. But normally, we're on every day at 9 a.m. Actually, next week we'll be moving to 10 a.m.
That's right. Big announcement. We're moving to 10 a.m.
10 a.m. next week.
That's right.
And then, of course, you have Spanish at noontime.
That's right. We have to move to 10 a.m. People are saying, are you folks just lazy? You just want to get up later? No. We have lots of guests across the country. And we have been making our folks on the West Coast get up at 5, 6 a.m.
That's right. They're doing it, but we don't want to do that. We're not animals. We're not animals.
It's been me. And
that's
so
right. That's right.
We're going to move it to 10 so they can get up,
That's
join
right.
us at 7.
That's right. But tune in here and listen, guys. I don't remember if you remember the early days of the National Parents Union Facebook.
It's so long ago.
Remember
in
the 10 weeks ago?
Years, it was like
and I used to want to
ago.
play happy animal videos.
That's right.
Well, guys, guess what? Today, we don't need a video. Just hold on. This is your moment to hold on.
That's right.
Hold on. Let me see if I can get.
Oh my goodness. We have a guest in the house. We're going to share with you. Here he comes. What's happening? Oh, here he is. He's Howie. Oh.
Look at this guy. How cute is he?
Howie the pug.
I'm dog sitting this weekend.
Dog sitting. He's such a sweetheart.
That's right.
I wish you could see his tongue. He has the goofiest tongue.
This is actually
sweet.
This is actually the first time he's kept his tongue in his mouth for more than 5 seconds.
He has the sweetest smile.
He does.
And he is just
he's just really shy right now.
Very shy,
Okay.
but he's a sweetheart. Look at this mush ball over here.
Just saying. Well, listen, speaking of mush balls, I think you have a guest to get to.
Hey, Kwame is not a mush ball.
Oh, all dads are much balls. He just plays it tough.
Kwame would be a great dad to have.
I think he would be.
And don't forget, Dad to Dad is actually
Dad to Dad, 4 p.m. every Thursday.
On Thursday.
Every Thursday, 4 p.m. The Love Bubble itself.
That's right. Kwame Sarfo Mensah is our next guest coming up on the National Parents Union. And he's an incredible friend of the National Parents Union, Massachusetts Parents United. We have known him since before he became a famous author and known throughout the world. So I feel like we have an old friend coming back to us now that he has made good out in the world. He's world renowned for his the training of teachers. You can pick up his books on Amazon. He's going to tell us all about that. But I am so excited and so proud to have my friend Kwame on with us this morning. Good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Keri. It's always good to be with my Temple friends.
I love it. I love it. Temple alumni unite, and it is incredible that you have had so many. The last time we spoke, we had you on NPU Live, our Massachusetts Parents United Little Baby broadcast. You were debuting your book, which has now had incredible success. You've got another book coming out. You are a mentor to teachers, but we know you as the teacher of fifth graders, our math expert, and someone who is so connected with community and so connected with all of our children, and just a master teacher. So we're just so excited to have you with us. And we thought we had lost you to Ethiopia, where your wife was on a mission for the Peace Corps, but so glad to have you back in Boston. So how is your family doing during the pandemic?
Oh, we're doing as well as we can be. We're here just following the health guidelines that have been given by the government, and we're just staying productive. I've been homeschooling my son in the mornings, and my wife has taken over in the afternoons. So we've been able to divide up the workload there. And I've just been trying to create some content and just brainstorm some ways in which I can continue to support parents, students, and teachers during this unprecedented time.
But Kwame, your son is 2.5. So before
Yes.
all of your fanciness and how you are helping all of us, I want to get into your house. I want to get into your brain. I want to get into your heart here. So, it's one thing when we talk about these things in theory. It's one thing when we do it in the classroom. But I contend when you have to turn your own living room into a classroom, that is a whole other world, because we know our babies act very differently with mamas and daddies than they do with their teachers. And so it's kind of a different thing, and we've had to shift. So how has that been for you? I know your son's 2.5, but I know he's learning from day one. So how has that been for you? Is everything as perfect as you imagined it would be?
Oh, far from perfect. But I will say this, when we were in Ethiopia, he was going to a play school, but a lot of the focus was on socialization and tactile play with friends. There wasn't a whole lot of learning as far as, letters and numbers and shapes. They did do that, and it was a great school, but I felt like the learning pace was very slow for him. And when we had to move back to the States due to COVID, we decided that we're going to accelerate the process. So I went ahead and bought a whiteboard for the house and started teaching him his letters, which he already knew, but it was more about getting him to understand the sounds for each letter so that he could be in a position to blend the sounds and start learning words. And we've been doing numbers. He's able to count to 20 at this point, and he knows all his shapes. He knows all his colors. So now the next step is to create some flashcards, which is on my to-do list for this weekend, so they can start learning some sight words. So he has been learning at such a rapid pace. He's ahead of his curve as far as his age is concerned, and my wife and I are just so excited about his progress and what's to come.
Well, it doesn't surprise me at all, knowing that he is the son of the both of you. So that doesn't surprise me that he is ahead of the curve. But he has all of this support. Has anything been tricky? Like, what have you learned about him, or what has been a little sticky, in trying to get him to sit down and concentrate and all this stuff? I mean, you have all of this expertise, but is there anything that you learned about him that you're a little surprised about? Anything you had to adapt for him?
I don't think anything has surprised me. I mean, he's always been someone who has been ahead of the curve, an overachiever in some sorts. And when I tell my friends what he's doing at his age, they're always shocked and they're like, wow, I need my child to be near Thaddeus so they can so he can rub off some of his magic on them. So nothing's really surprised me. I think I'm astounded because of the fact that when you think of 2-year-olds, toddlers, you don't expect them to speak in full sentences. You don't expect them to have this expansive vocabulary and be able to articulate themselves in a way that's clear and coherent. You expect that a few years down the road, but not at that particular age. You think they're at that formative stage where they're still trying to learn their speech and they're still trying to, get the subject verb agreement going. But with him, he's starting to get it together, and it's happened right before our eyes.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's so magical. I was watching the other day, my baby. You know, we were having a conversation, and we did it on Facebook Live. It comes up in your memories, and it was such a joy for me to kind of go back to that age where he was 2.5, where he was really curious about how you get ideas in your brain, and he had come up with his own hypothesis about how mysteries get into your brain, and it's the same way as food. And he wanted to have this very in-depth conversation exploring this, and listening to him speak and his ideas, and you know, he has questions and, you know, thoughts about this. And then his brother, who's just 1 year older than him, wanting to explore more of that with him, saying, no, no, that's not how it works, and start to explain the nervous system. You know, when their minds are so young, and they're like sponges, it's incredible. And as parents, it's wonderful to kind of watch them blossom in these ways when they're so curious and ready to seek knowledge. It's wonderful.
So it is. It's a beautiful journey. And as a father, and you already know how it is for fathers, when our children are born, we can only stay at home for so long. I was fortunate enough to be at home with him for 3 months, first 3 months of his life. I took a leave from Boston Public Schools, and I was able to stay home with them every day for 3 months to see him grow, to work with my wife to come up with a schedule that's going to help accelerate his growth, and to learn how to be a dad, because, you know, I'm a first time dad. So everything is a learning experience for me. Not too many fathers get the opportunity. I've been fortunate. In the 2 years he's been alive, I've been able to spend a lot of time with them.
Mhm.
And, you know, here in the States, we have maternity leave, but paternity leave doesn't function the same way as maternity leave. You know, with fathers, they're at home for maybe 2, 3 weeks, and then they're back at work.
Mhm.
So when I saw a lot of my colleagues who are on paternity leave coming back after a couple of weeks, I just kept thinking to myself, how are you back? Because you need this time to really learn your child, to really understand how he functions, how you need to function as a father. It's a learning experience.
And building
Um,
a relationship with them, that bond
yeah,
is critically important, especially when they're so young. It's really a backwards way of conducting ourselves here in the United States, where we just kind of throw away that period and try to, like, as soon as you're even for mothers, as soon as you're healed up and ready to function, and you can uncross your eyes from not sleeping all night, like, get back to work immediately. It's not that kind, tender, like, acknowledgement that we're creating family, and that how important these bonds are, you know, not just for mother and child, but for our communities, for our society, because a strong family means a stronger community, and how that investment of time can actually pay dividends for all of us if we allow it to happen. It's just, I wish we could embrace more of that.
no, absolutely. And when you think about other countries such as France, Canada, even the UK, maybe, they actually give their fathers a lot of paternity time. They give them a lot of support.
Mhm.
I know in France, if you are having a baby, they actually give you a nanny to assist you. And I remember watching this in Michael Moore's documentary, I believe it was Sicko, when he was talking about the healthcare system. He actually talks about different countries and how their healthcare systems function.
Mhm.
And he mentioned the fact that in France, they get assistance from the government where you're assigned a nanny, and where fathers get the same amount of time off than mothers as far as leave. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's even possible.
Mhm.
But yeah, here in this country, you know, that's not the case. I was shocked.
Well, I'm sure you're going to be shocked by a lot more as you grow in your fatherhood and have new experiences. And I'm excited to watch that unfold as you learn more and more about this experience. It's wonderful to see you blossoming in this way.
Yes.
But I want to harken back to your expertise. Your 14 years as an educator in the classroom, which has kind of prepared you for this moment. Although, you know, now being a parent, you have a whole different lens added to it, I think. And I want to get your perspective on that. But that 14 years as an educator, I want to go back to that period and see, using that experience, how are you viewing this moment in education for COVID-19? Some of us are thinking about this, and frankly, the polling tells us that parents are really anxious for this to be a transformative moment where we don't just go back. Once we are physically able to go back into schools, we don't just go back into the same systems, but we recreate and reimagine education in different ways. And we're going to be spending a lot of time in the National Parents Union really digging into that and asking parents questions across the country about what does that actually mean. So with your expertise, your knowledge, you saw what worked and didn't work.
Mhm.
Chance to kind of experiment, which I love, and kind of gives you all of this rich knowledge to share with other educators in your writing. But how are you viewing this moment in education? What do you think?
Even though we're looking at this as a challenge, and yes, it is indeed a challenge in some respects, I see it as an opportunity, not just for parents, but also for teachers, for school districts, and all educational entities who work with our children. This is an opportunity to revamp and transform the way that we do education. Now, you and I both know that a lot of the issues that are being manifested during this pandemic are not new issues, especially in our urban schools. We've dealt with overcrowded classrooms, whether it's because of inaccurate special education diagnoses, whether it's a case of just small room sizes, and just all the other inequities that exist. Food deserts, homelessness, poverty, these are all mostly associated with our urban schools. And now that COVID-19 has happened, they've all come to surface. So for those parents who were sending their kids to school with the belief and the optimism that their schools and their teachers were going to do the best job they can, and the districts as well, now they see what's happening.
Kwame, let's double click on that for a minute.
Okay.
You and I have had this conversation before.
We have.
Because, a lot of what we, like in pre-COVID days, we were singing the same song, saying, this is not working. The relationships are broken. Communication is broken. There's been no restorative justice with communities that have been historically underserved. We're talking about generational, institutional racism that is continually perpetuated. We got some fancy new terms. We got some fancy new names, but the belief gap is real and it is ongoing and it has not been addressed. All of that. You and I talked about that before. This situation, it's kind of like when you go to the doctor and they make you drink that dye to see what's wrong with you in your system, and it reveals all of the pathways that are broken. This situation has revealed so many broken pathways where we have been speaking up and have not had the data. It's key to have the data and advocacy to point out, because if you don't, then they reduce you to anecdote. They say you're crazy, you don't know what you're talking about. Look at our beautiful school. It's got rainbows all over it. It's wonderful. The problem is that when the rubber meets the road, are schools able to communicate with parents and community? This situation has revealed that many are not. Do educators have the right relationships with parents and families? This situation has revealed that many of them do not. So often we've been having these conversations about how do we make educators more culturally competent? How do we make sure that those lines of communication are open so that people get the information they need about their children? Now we're in a crisis and we see that these things are broken. Is there opportunity for us to finally say, maybe we hold off on the "we told you so" for a minute, and how do we turn this around and say, listen, clearly there's a problem. Here's how we fix it.
Right, and you took the words right out of my mouth. Obviously, this is not the best time to say "I told you so," because that doesn't help the situation. It doesn't help our students. It doesn't help our teachers. It doesn't help our school districts. What we can do is be in the spirit of collaboration and say, hey, let's come up with a plan that's going to help our students transition back into schools in the aftermath of COVID-19, because as you know, there will be a time when teachers, students, school leaders will have to return back to the physical space of school and resume learning. But let's do it in a way that's responsible. Let's do it in a way that's thoughtful and mindful of the trauma that not only students have experienced, but parents and even teachers as well. Teachers who are doing the absolute best they can to provide or attempt to replicate a learning environment that they had in the classroom, which is very difficult to do if you don't have the capacity to operate in online learning. So let's keep those in mind. But I do believe that it's an opportunity for us to do something different and to really address the inequities that have existed. And we can go on and on about the inequities. We know what they are. And I think in order for this to work, we need the parents. And I'm saying parents because as a teacher, I'm gonna put my teacher hat on. I can remember being in IP meetings where I knew for a fact that the parent didn't know what the SPED teacher and the SPED department was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a political way of kind of going about it, because you can't challenge people in that meeting. So what we typically do, those of us who do care, is, after the meeting's over, we might pull that parent to the side and say, well, listen, here's my professional opinion. I think you need to look at your IP, look at the 504s, and even translate what it all means, because you could tell when a parent doesn't understand what the accommodations are, the interventions are. Like, what does it mean that he's going to get
So unfair.
4 times 45? What does that mean? Like, we have to break these down, because a lot of parents do not know. They did not go to school to become teachers.
And you know what? It's in the attitude we get, frankly, that, it's almost as if they're intentionally trying to keep the information from us by talking above us. And it feels very disrespectful and belittling because we don't know it. I don't have a master's degree in education. I don't have a master's degree in special ed. I was blessed by God with a child who learns differently. And so he is going to have an IEP, but I was not handed a brochure that tells me all of the things that he's going to need, or all of the options available to him, and all of the brand new language I was going to have to learn. It is learning a new language when you are a special ed parent. You have a whole other world. And you know what? It's very lonely and isolating when you're sitting at the end of that table and people are talking about your child and all of their deficits and all of the things that are wrong with him, and then using language that's very exclusionary. You feel very alone and very scared, and frankly very guilty too. I got to tell you, I've talked to mamas this week about guilt that we feel like, oh gosh, did I cause this? Did I, is there something I could have done so that my child didn't need all of this help? Did I eat a damn hot dog when I was pregnant? Is that why he has ADHD? All of these things that we as mamas have guilt about. Did we do this? And then you're compounded by people talking down to you and feeling like there's nobody on your side. And that is, that's not a way to build a relationship with parents. And we're all supposed to be working together for what's best for that kid. And it's so incredibly frustrating, especially if you compound it with the intersectionality of being a parent of color, having children of color, being sometimes underserved yourself, and being a survivor of public education, and all of the weight of that, and knowing that you're having to fight a system that's not built to serve your child. All of that weight sitting at that table, it's a lot. And then you wonder why there's that tension that comes between. It's not okay. So Kwame, before we run out of time here, I do want to tell you, you have 2 amazing books. You work with educators all the time about developing their identity, learning more about, mastering their profession. We've got to get into both of them so folks can pick up your books. And Shaping the Teacher Identity, 8 Lessons That Will Help Define the Teacher in You is number 1. Number 2, brand new, just out, From Inaction to Inaction, Creating a New Normal for Urban Educators, which is just beautiful for this moment. Can you talk to us a little bit about both of them so we can make sure folks can connect with you?
Sure, absolutely. And I'll start with Shaping the Teacher Identity, 8 Lessons That Will Help Define the Teacher in You. I wrote this book during my paternity leave a couple years ago because I had been teaching for a little over a decade, and I felt like I was at a point where I needed an outlet to really express my thoughts on what's great about our education system, but also what's wrong with it. I can remember being a first year teacher, and I didn't have all the answers as far as what it means to be a teacher, how to lesson plan, how to manage behavior, how to engage with parents. So many unanswered questions. And a lot of the reason for that is because a lot of our teacher training programs nationwide do not adequately prepare us for the classroom, especially the urban classrooms. I was fortunate enough to just be a Black man and to have that cultural connection with a lot of my students. So I was able to get by with that. But I just think to myself, if I wasn't of the same culture as many of my students, it would have been a struggle for me, as it is for many of my white colleagues. So I decided to write Shaping the Teacher Identity because we need to deal with the retention issue when we talk about teachers of color, whether it's Black teachers, Latinx teachers, Asian teachers, whatever race you are.
And Kwame, I would contend post COVID-19, we are going to need so many more teachers of color in the classroom. It's going to be like we were in critical condition before. It is code red now because all of these kids are going to be trauma impacted. We need trauma informed teachers in the classroom, and the best people to do that are the people who understand our kids and are mirrors for our kids. And it's, I mean, now more than, I can't think of a more important moment for teachers of color to stay in the classroom, if at all possible. And we've got to make the conditions happen so that they can tolerate staying in these systems of white supremacy that we've created.
Right. And I'm going to get to that when we talk about the second book. But for any new teachers, whether you're an education major, first, second, third year teacher, who's trying to find their way in the classroom, you're trying to figure out who you are and how your life experiences will help inform the type of teacher you're going to be. Get a copy of this book. You can get it on Amazon. You could also get it from my website, identitytalkeducators.com. And then I also have my second book, which is From Inaction to Inaction, Creating a New Normal for Urban Educators. I actually wrote this book back in November, and this is way before COVID happened. So I feel like it's divine intervention that this book came out right at the time that all this is happening. And in this book, we're talking about some of the issues we've touched on this morning. I'm talking about overage and undercredited students. I'm talking about the fact that there needs to be more of a focus on restorative practices in our classrooms. I'm also talking about the idea of teachers being activists, because guess what? We are activists as teachers because we are advocating for our students. When things are wrong with our system, we have to speak up. So I talk about a call to action with that, self-care. So there's so many different topics that are focused in this book. So even if you're not a teacher, because I know we're talking to parents mostly this morning, you could still get an idea of what it's like behind the scenes. So you can have an idea of how to combat the system in order to advocate for your child. So this is a book that is out right now. It's also on Amazon, and I'm doing a quarantine sale. So for anybody who wants to get both copies of the books, you can get both of them for $25 directly from me, autographed. I do Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, if you have any of those. And I'll be sure to pass the information to the NPU team so we can make sure that parents get a hand on both copies.
I think they're up on I think it's actually up on the website right now. We're putting it up on Facebook so folks can catch it. And we love having you and your insight, Kwame. You are brilliant, and I'm watching you blossom. I think these are like the first steps You know, we got a former, a future Secretary of Education. So we're just so grateful for your leadership and the conversations that we've been able to have with you, and watching you grow in these moments, and connecting with educators across the country. You also do a Facebook Live series where you're welcoming educators and others to come in and have conversation with you. Where can we catch that?
So my podcast is called I Dane Talk for Educators Live, and it is happening on Facebook. Currently, we're doing new episodes Mondays and Thursdays for right now, and we're just having different educators come on to share their stories and to provide resources to our viewing audience. And since the focus is on COVID-19, we've had a lot of extraordinary people come on to just share how they've been combating the pandemic and how they continue to support schools and parents and students during this time. So you can catch that on Facebook and YouTube, but it's also on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, and all other streaming platforms.
You can catch Kwame everywhere. Worldwide. Coming to us live from Boston, Massachusetts, our friend Kwame Sarfo-Mensah joining us live on NPU Live. We're so grateful for your leadership, and hope you come back to visit us again soon.
And thank you, Keri, and just personally thank you for always supporting me. NPU, Massachusetts Parents United, you all were maybe the first people where I actually did a live interview when I first wrote the book. You all been there from the beginning, and up to this point, going on almost 2 years later, you are still there. So I appreciate your leadership, and I appreciate all that you're doing with NPU. And I'm just excited for how this is going to progress in the months and years to come.
And Kwame, Massachusetts Parents United doing beautiful things. 100 of our most powerful parent activists coming together last night in the middle of the quarantine on a webinar, working, 17 chapters now across the state, just doing, in 17 communities, doing so much work. They are fine. I'm so proud of the work that they're doing, but we don't talk about it, we be about it. So stay tuned, more from us coming soon. Thank you so much for being with us.
All right, thank you, Keri.
Our next guest is coming to us live from Brooklyn, and we are so excited because she was a proud member and founding delegate of the National Parents Union. Tim's getting excited. He's jumping up and down. Our dear friend, Natasha Cherry Perez, joining us from Brooklyn. She's with Uncommon Schools in New York City, and we are so excited that she is joining us live from the beautiful Brooklyn sunshine to talk to us about what's happening and what's good in New York City. Natasha, we're so glad that you're with us, and so glad to see your smiling face this morning. How are you, girl?
I'm fine. Do you see me?
I do see you.
Okay. How are you this morning?
In your backyard. It's gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you. I decided to come out and get some sun. It's supposed to rain today. So while it's nice and sunny, I said, let's come out and hear the birds chirping.
We need that. We need that in our life. That's why I'm looking forward to this weekend. I need some sunshine. I need some fresh air. So we got to get it when we can. I want to talk to you about this quarantine and how you've been doing and how your people are. So check in with me from your living room. Like, how is life for your family? How are you making it through?
We are doing okay. This has really hit New York City really, really hard. I'm so glad now that we only have 100 people passing away now versus the 600 people that were passing away for about 4 weeks straight. So, it's unfortunate that we're still losing so many people daily, but we're down. We're going way, way down, and things are starting to open back up now. But it's still something to get used to not have to I got to remember before I step out the door, I need my gloves, I need my mask. And when you come in and just spraying everything, it's just a whole new way of living and being. I've been working from home, since this started. My husband's been going out to work every day. And my daughter's here being homeschooled. This is her freshman year in high school. And I feel like she's in college already. She got a 90 average her last quarter, so she's doing good. I found myself having to like pull back a little bit from her because I'm like, what are you doing up? It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, go to bed. She's like, Mom, relax. It doesn't matter. She's like, we're not going back to school till September. She was like, I get my work done, so like leave me alone. And I'm like, okay, do your thing. Just as long as you get up and do what you're supposed to do.
When they get to high school, it's hard. Like I don't have that experience yet. We're trying like little things. My oldest is in middle school. So we're doing things like letting him out in the neighborhood to kind of run around with his friends. And that's pre-COVID, not now.
Right, right.
You know, he has his little group of friends and they're going to the playground, they're going to the corner store, going to get mommy this and that. Like, so it's, you know, you went through that phase. I'm a little scared of that. Like, you know, when they really get big, I'm going to see him on the T. I'm going to see him on the bus. But then I remember going through all that stuff. But oh man, as a mama, it gives me like agita, like, like, oh.
It is. Yeah, it is. It's hard. It's hard. I had to start pulling back like seventh, eighth grade, really start pulling it back because they'll tell you if you don't do it, they'll make you do it. So
I need some thoughts and some advice from you. You know, just around, you know, how she's doing mentally. It's really hard for them not to be connected with friends. I mean, we talk about our little babies and trying to keep them busy because they want to run around and everything like that. But you know, our older kids, they're hurting. They're hurting a lot. So what has that been like for you, and how are you dealing with
um I try to like at first I was a little like I said stressing her about like being up so late and stuff. And then I was like, you know what? She's stressed. You know, she's going through just like everybody else. So let me just back off, let her have her space. So we let my husband and I, we just let her have her space. She gets up, she's responsible, she does what she has to do when she has to do it. And thank goodness for like FaceTime and stuff like that. I hear her giggling and playing with her friends. Like they play games together on the PlayStation or like on Facebook and stuff. And I hear her talking and laughing with them. And so that makes me feel good and makes me feel like she's still connected to them. So that's good. And only thing I worry about is her being like in her room too much and not like being like physical and active. So I'm gonna really try to push now that it's getting nice out for us to go outside and do physical things because I think she's cramped up too much in her room. And she's like, Mommy, my vision, I need new glasses. I'm like, yeah, because you're on your computer too much. You're either on your computer, your phone, or your tablet, you're on something. You need to like get up and get out. And she's like, well, we don't go anywhere. We don't do anything. So that's on us to have to get up and go outside. We've been going for like rides on like Fridays as a family. We'll go out and like order some food and go pick it up. And so we try to get out and do that. And next Sunday is her birthday. She's going to be 15. So I think we're going to have a socially distant cookout with just like 10 people, which is what we can do now, like 10 people. We have a pretty long backyard. So like it's just going to be like grandparents, auntie, uncle, and then like her best friend. And like that's it. And we're going to all sit apart from each other and have like a cookout and be together
that?
for her birthday.
Party yesterday.
Yeah. What did you do?
Party, but a parade. So we decorated the whole front porch. It was Tim's oldest son's 9th birthday, so we decorated with balloons. He dressed up as his favorite wrestler and was kind of dancing and making people beat for him and wish him happy birthday. And some of his friends drove by and said happy birthday. And you know, we had some donuts on the porch, and like we ate all of his favorite food, which I think I'm still recovering from today. Oh, eating Taco Bell in this house by Uber Eats. But yeah, you know, it's different. But by the end of the day, you know, he said it was his best birthday ever. You know, we just, you know, we really stopped. He got a lot of time with his dad to kind of sit and talk to him and, you know, play with him and goof around a little bit. And you know, while there is a lot of challenge, you know, and it's weird adapting to this new way of life, there's also some joy and, you know, how much we appreciate when we are able to connect, when people do stop by the house, and even if they just wave or make you a our kids are like we're slowing down life enough so that we say, wow, somebody stopped by my house to wish me a happy birthday. And that really, it filled my heart. And so it's beautiful to see them, you know, learning like the importance of that instead of just, you know, okay, we're going to have the big giant party with 1 million people and it's going to go by in a blur. You know, it has slowed us down a little bit, I think.
Yeah, it slowed everything down a lot. And we try to also like have a movie night every week where we sit down and we watch a movie together. So I said, you want to play board games? She's like, no, that's boring. I don't want to do board games. So I think we're going to put the PlayStation in the living room and we'll do some PlayStation nights too, maybe teach her how to play. I have like some Centipede and some of the old school Tekken. I'm going to kick her butt, show her how to do some karate chops and stuff. And we'll get into that type of stuff. You know, the things you have to really, when they're older, you have to do what they like. I've done some TikTok videos.
Yeah. Oh, I see those. I'm excited for that. I want to see that. That's
yeah. So you have to like kind of do what they want to do and what they like to do. So, and
let's you know, I know that you are a masterful mama and you're going to take care of your baby and make sure that she is good, and you take care of so many families, but I want to dig into you a little bit because parents need to learn from warriors, you know, how to do this stuff. So how are you taking care of yourself as a mom and as a parent? Like there's a lot to be afraid of. I mean, you're living in the belly of the beast in Brooklyn, and you know, the tough times. And now, you know, we're going into summer and there's going to be even less structure and not so much information from schools. And we got to still continue to figure this stuff out. How are you taking care of your heart?
I actually got up at 6:15 this morning and I did a workout class. So working out for me is therapeutic and I haven't been able to do it as much as I want to, but I started today and I'm making a promise to myself to work out at least every day. And I even got the stationary bike that you sit under your desk and you just pedal. So I got to do things to take care of myself physically. Because sometimes you're too still, and we can't get too still. And like, I'm snacking a lot and I'm not eating like the right things. So even though I have the fruit in my house, I'm not reaching for the fruit. I'm reaching for the cookies and the candy. Cause it's comfort food too, right? So I need to consciously make a decision to go, you know what? Instead of reaching for the candy, I'm going to reach for this apple and, you know, have the berries. And I'm going to make myself a fruit smoothie when I finish this. So I have to make better like food choices and working out. And then just, it's so easy because I'm working from home to overwork. I'm like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, I'm still working. And it's like, you know what? Stop. And I actually I signed up to take some Harvard classes, free classes online. I haven't been able to stop and do that. So I have to really like stop working and start doing more me.
Yeah, and I want all of our parent warriors from the National Parents Union to stop and listen to Miss Natasha right now. And I need to hear it too, because I can tell you, as soon as this has happened, like you know us, Natasha, you've been with us from jump, you know, like we are the doers. We are the folks that go out and, you know, when there's a problem, we're in there trying to help people, trying to solve it, trying to bring folks together. You know, we're so connected to people and our hearts are in this. This isn't a hobby, this is life. You know, the service that we provide and the connections that we have with our people. And it's so hard in these moments. And I can see it across our union and all of our states and all of our organizations, people just working themselves into a frenzy. And, you know, what I say to my team here in Massachusetts is, you know, a dead soldier's no good to us. You know, you got to stop. You got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of your family. You got to take care of your heart a little bit. I'm not good at it. I don't do a good job of stopping. And I'm hoping this weekend I'm going to stop, take a deep breath, you know, connect, breathe some fresh air, get some sunshine, and just to replenish so we can go back into this. It's so important. So I think what you're saying, that's why I wanted to lead you down this path, because people are going to follow you and your message, and because you're such a powerful warrior. I think we need to hear that in this moment. Anything else you would want to say to these folks?
You have to I think as advocates, right, we schedule so much, and we're givers. We give so much to other people. You have to give, like you said, to yourself and replenish yourself. So just like you schedule everything else, find that sweet spot when the kids are down, your husband's not around, your partner's not around. Find time for you. If it's 6 o'clock in the morning, by gosh, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. But take that time for you, because if you don't re-energize and replenish and give to yourself, you'll become depleted and you'll be of no use to anyone else, And this is a time now with this virus, you got to take your vitamins. You got to put good stuff into your body, because you have to stay healthy. You have to stay healthy, because this thing will take you out. It will take you out. And if you're not healthy, and if you have any underlying issues that you don't know about or that you know about, you better get on it. And this is the time. What better time to exercise? What better time to lose weight? What better time to learn how to cook better and healthy? You have nothing but time on your hands, right? You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. So this is the time to get into a better routine and a better way of thinking about taking care of yourself and taking care of your family. Like, get rid of that junk in the cabinet. Put more healthy things in there and start these routines and these good habits now, because I think it's going to be more difficult when we go back like to school and we go back to work, because it's going to take longer now to do things, because you can't just go outside and come back inside. You have to put this on and that on and protect this and protect that. When you come in, you got to spray and wash it. So it's not going to be normal. And life is, I don't think, going to go back to like normal for a long time. And so take this time now, clean out your house, get rid of the clutter, get rid of the junk. Like, if you go back into the world again and your house still looks crazy and you still have clutter, that's on you. You gotta get in there and declutter, throw that crap away, like shred that paper. Like, come on, this is the time. This is time to like reevaluate, re-energize, recalibrate. So
Say that it brings me to some conversations been having with folks about, it almost feels like, in a way, that even though this is a crazy challenge, and it's terrible, it's like God is telling us to slow down and fix yourself. You're going too fast. We're all going to just take a break, get yourself right, spend some time, use this time wisely. And then, as we move forward, let's be a little bit, let this, moment of craziness, how much what is important and how we want to move forward. Natasha, you are also the Senior Associate Director of Community Engagement at Uncommon Schools, which is an incredible piece of work and an amazing job, and you do an extraordinary job at it. I want to talk to you really quickly, about how that's going and how engagement has kind of changed and how that's working for you and your organization right now.
Well, we have been busy. I mean, at first was like, wow, what are we going to do? And how are we going to do this? We just came from like going to Albany and going to all the caucuses and advocating and worrying about the budget and how we're going to end the year with our parents, celebrating with them and honoring them. And now it's just like, can't do any of those things physically anymore. So everything has turned into remote work now. And we've been able to really still engage with our parents. We have every week, we've been having Zoom parties. Like last night, we had a scavenger hunt and game night with our families. Mother's Day weekend, we had a Mother's Day sip and chat. We've had cooking shows. We're going to have an end of year celebration with our families. So we've been engaging with our families via Zoom. And we've also been doing like wellness calls, just calling and checking up on them. And then on the elected side, we've been, I was on the phone yesterday for about 12 hours just holding on the line, waiting to testify because we've been having our city council hearings. They're about to do the budget for city council. And as you know, we've been hit really hard. We're going to have like I think it's like $8 billion deficit. And so they're, of course, thinking about cutting education and cutting, like, of course, the people that need the money the most. And so I stayed on the line and I was started at 9:30 in the morning and I didn't speak until like 8:30, close to 9 o'clock. And I just really wanted to give my testimony and let the city know, like, look, the way you spend money is how you show who you care about and who you value.
Yeah.
So put your money where your mouth is. You know, everyone's saying, I've been on several hearings, remote hearings, and everybody knows about, you know, what's going on and they see the disparities. It's shining, this is shining a big, big spotlight on all the inequities that we already know about. So now you know about it, you're talking about it. You can't tell me you're going to cut education and you're not going to cut the NYPD.
Natasha, I got to tell you, it is so inspiring to hear your example and what you're talking about. We're seeing in Minnesota, we're seeing in California, we're seeing in Tennessee, in Florida, and how critical it is for us as parent advocacy organizations and activists to stand up. We got to walk and chew gum. We got to serve our families, but we have to stay in that fight, in the conversation, because if we are not at the table, we're on the menu, and we are on the menu right now.
Yes.
We are invited to the table, so we got to show up. You know, we got to channel that Shirley Chisholm there and bring our folding chairs and say, you know what? We are here and we are going to be heard, and here is what we expect. You know, could you send a message right now across this nation? I mean, you're doing this work right now. We got to hear directly from you for all of these organizations, how critical that is right now.
This is not a time to sit down and rest on your laurels. I know it's hard. It's hard for everyone. People don't have jobs. People don't have housing security. You know, they don't know how they're going to pay their rent. They're scared of getting evicted. So like, this is not the time though to sit back and wallow in that. It's not time for the pity party. You know, there's so many people out here that we need to continue to fight for, because yes, people see what's going on and it's really blatant, but there's some cities that they don't care. They're still opening up. They're going to open up because they care about money more than people. Right? So you have to be that voice and get your parents out there and say, I know it's hard right now, but write this letter, send this email, get on Twitter and send this out on social media, because people need to hear you. A closed mouth is not going to get fed. Right? And you can't sit back, because big major decisions are going to happen and there's less money and less resources to do it with. And you know who always gets hit hard? Us, Black and brown people. Right? So don't sit back and, you know, hold your elected officials accountable. Tell them, look, I'm watching you. I see what you're doing. We're not going to let you do this to us again and again and again. So this is not time to sit back. This is time to let your voice be heard. Now you have nothing but time and space and opportunity. If you don't do it, it's your fault. Don't sit back and complain if you don't say anything and do anything about it.
Well, you know what? You have so many parents right now commenting on this Facebook Live. All your parents coming out saying, yes, Natasha is amazing at her job. That's my ace. We will not let this pandemic sacrifice our people and communities anymore. We have to stand up and fight for each other. Like, so many parents coming out. You are giving folks life this morning. So we are so grateful that you joined us, Natasha. You're one of our founding delegates. You're one of our aces here.
Yes.
We're going to have you on more often.
Anytime.
You know, we need to speak with one voice together on the national level to make sure these folks aren't taking advantage of this challenge to advance, you know, longstanding political agendas that we know don't benefit our children. We got to stand up and make sure they do us.
Yes, and we're doing census events. We just did that state census event with Yomika, with Uncommon Achievement First KIP, C3S, Public Prep. We did a big census event. because filling out the census is important, and we need to do something on voting, absentee ballot. You know, they're going to try to get us with that. We have to start having like vehicles and using these vehicles and this technology that we have to let people know, don't be fooled. You know, we got to get this census filled out and we got to get this voting done, or else you know who's going to be back in the office and we're going to be in trouble.
Natasha, don't be surprised, because next week you're going to be tapped to join us for our new campaign, Every Family Votes. Every family in America registered to vote. There's only 39 states that offer it. We want all 50 plus DC and Puerto Rico registering to vote online. And then we want vote by mail. We want to make sure everyone is able to participate, no disenfranchisement. And if families are not voting after this hot mess, I don't know what to tell you. You got to do it. So we need. We're gonna be tapping you for that, and we need you in this family.
Yeah.
We're grateful for your leadership and your spirit and your inspiration and your guidance this morning. Just so blessed to be connected with you, Natasha. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for all that you do. Love you and Tim. You guys are kicking butt out there. And hey, Tim, thank you so much for everything that you do. And I'm excited and I'm here. If you need anything, just tap me on my shoulder. I'm ready.
You love me, Natasha. We're going to need her.
That's right. Yeah, we will.
Tashfir and Natasha, please.
Yeah.
You
Oh, jeepers.
And don't forget about Vivette now.
Well, and
that's right.
Vivette too.
Please. Vivette's already on it.
Yeah, I know. She's on it.
She's there. And while you're at it, why don't you bring those 500 birds chirping behind you too? How do you? Mother God, I'd be going insane. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. No problem. I'm here anytime you need me.
We're together here.
Natasha Cherry Perez joining us from Brooklyn, where it's beautiful sunshine.
That's right.
It's beautiful sunshine here in Boston.
It is. Well, we had delegates from all 5 bureaus.
Boroughs,
and boroughs too.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. As we burrowed into New Orleans with the National Parents Union.
That's right.
Woo,
New York,
it's Friday.
Come
That's
through,
right.
New York.
Well,
That's
listen,
right.
I was thinking about what you're saying about self-care. You've been
Yes.
working pretty hard. So this is the weekend I think we're going to go with. You're going to be fed well. You're going to chill out. Okay. A couple of movies we're going to watch this weekend. Recommendations of Dad for Dad.
No, we're not watching
I'm
Demolition
seeing Demolition Man and White Man Can't Jump. Maybe if you're good, we might do a second watching of The Notebook.
Oh, well, okay.
Okay, we'll see what we do. We'll see what we do.
Take care. But
Yeah.
Dad to Dad, read your movie recommendations.
Anyway,
Awful.
everyone, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for everyone who jumped on. Woo!
Oh man.
Tashfir and Crystal and
so many
a bunch of
people.
Natashas and Oma. And you're moving too fast for me there. What are you doing? Crystal's there.
Tashfir's always with us. We
That's
love
right.
her. But yeah, seriously, you better watch out for New York and New Jersey. They are
That's
going
right.
to light this country on fire with Every Family Votes. They are on it. Everyone is voting. That's it. Period.
That's it. Okay.
That's
Okay.
period with a T. We'll have to teach Tim about that.
I don't know what that means.
Thanks
for joining us
today.
Have a nice weekend,
We'll be
everyone.
back
Happy
again
Memorial
on
Day.
Friday. Bye now.
Bye.